welcome to another episode of Diary of a Wannabe Comedian with me, Belle, a wannabe comedian. So I've had a busy weekend. Yesterday, I went to the Savoy. I treated Mum to an afternoon tea at the Savoy, and very fancy it was too. It's quite surprising actually how filling the food was, considering it's like, it looks like tiny portions. I think they get 4 sandwiches out of 2 pieces of bread, by the looks of it. But it was jolly nice. And we had tea that was specially blended for the Savoy Hotel. So I now consider myself in a select group of people that have drunk that tea. And being the Philistine that I am, it tasted like normal tea. But there you go. So that was yesterday. On Saturday, I went to the Escape Studios over in, near Greenwich, near the Millennium Dome. That's easy for me to say. Yeah, it was good fun. I went with 3 people from my animation class, whatever. And we learned all about, we didn't learn all about, it was a bit weird actually, I'll be honest. I'm not really sure what the purpose was. I'm guessing they want you to sign up for courses with them, but they didn't really do any sales pitch at all. They split us into groups and we had some exercises to do, which one of them was good fun because they just gave us a page of circles and said, turn them into characters. And that was great. So it's one of those, we just keep going really fast because you get all the dross out of your brain and then the good stuff starts coming later. Unfortunately, I don't think they gave me long enough to work through it. So I was just getting to that point where the good stuff was coming. But that was that. And then the other one, we had to write a little concept for a show, a superhero. So they said, take your first pet. I didn't take my first pet. I took my best boy, Jasper. And then you have to give him, he was a cat, by the way, since passed, but absolutely adorable boy he was. And you're supposed to give him a special power, some friends, what they're doing, and so on and so forth. So my boy had flying, he was able to vomit up flying, exploding furballs. And his friends were a pigeon, a squirrel, and an old lady. And they liked to go to St. James's Park. I didn't really get to flesh out the story much, but needless to say, King Charles and Queen Camilla appeared in my story walking around the park. But after we'd done that, the afternoon finished, we went to Starbucks and that's where we shared all our stories. And some of them were hilarious, really so funny. All in all, I think that's quite a good exercise, actually, to get your brain going. The only thing I will say about them, because there was one guy who was came from a cameraman background. I should probably say, actually, Escape Studios is all computer animation and effects. They do 2D, 3D animation, gaming, that sort of stuff. They did work on, I'm trying to think, did they work on Harry Potter? I can't remember, but they will have worked on things that you have seen. In fact, I'm pretty sure, because I look out for these things and I want to go to the movies, I'm pretty sure I have seen Escape Studios in credits, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, one thing I don't think they really dealt with properly was AI, the impact of AI. It was interesting because one guy just said, one guy approached it from the point of view of generative AI, the kind of AI that's collecting people's art and producing, and I'm using air quotes, producing its own. But really it's not, it's just using other people's copyright. But hey, so one was approaching it from a generative point of view, and the other one was approaching it from the point of view of being a tool. And that's where I kind of agree AI would work. So he just gave an example of where they created a film and it needed to be higher resolution, and then they done it in and they just ran it through AI, and within an hour it was a higher resolution. So I think that's kind of good. But the first guy was actually encouraging people to develop their story. I just told you about Jasper and his flying exploding furballs. He was suggesting that you go home and you then run the same thing through AI and see what it comes up with. I'm like, I don't like the idea of that. I really don't, because it is just nicking other people's stuff. These AI things are not thinking for themselves yet, because they've still got a great deal of learning to do. So you are just stealing other people's ideas. You might be putting them together in a different way, but you're essentially stealing other people's ideas. I do fear for creativity. I mean, obviously no one's going to stop doing art of any format for themselves, but it does bother me because I do think it's going to be really difficult to actually make any money out of creativity in any guise. But there you are. That's enough of that. The only other thing is I've got a new subscriber on my YouTube, so I'm really excited. I'm up to 68. How exciting is that? Thank you very much, whoever you are. If you picked it up from the podcast, I'm eternally grateful. Much love and gratitude.